Hello, good afternoon. It's Midday Live from the News Hub here at Adesawe in Kanda, Accra. My name is Pakwasi Asare. Coming up in the headlines. Minority in Parliament stages a walkout. We'll tell you why. Meanwhile, Parliament is to meet national security capos on the attacks of marksmen at the Yawasu West Wagon in Accra. And also on the foreign front, UN trade official warns a US plan to raise tariffs on Chinese goods has massive implications for the global economy. We've got details of these stories plus many more coming up in the next 60 minutes. You can also join us with your views, comments and suggestions on our top story this hour, visiting our social media pages on Facebook and on Twitter. Also be reminded that we're streaming live on Facebook. We'll begin with happenings in Parliament. My colleague Evelyn Tingma has the very latest and we'll cross over live to Parliament now. Evelyn Tingma, what can you report?
People behind me are the members of Parliament, the minority members of Parliament, who are currently embarking on a walk to the police headquarters. Earlier in the day, the members of Parliament did walk out on the floor of Parliament when the minority walked out just before the MP-elect was sworn in, Seriam Alassane, who was recently elected by the Yawasu West Wagon constituency. The minority walked out because they complained that the process was not all that in place because they breached constitution and they breached some security rules. And so for that matter, they are walking out of the process and they walked out of the chamber. We're trying to get some of the leadership of the minority to talk to. The group is currently being led by the minority chief whip, Mutaka Mohammed Mubarak, the deputy minority leader, James Kluche Aveji. And let's try and see if we can talk to one of them. Hello, Honorable. Hello, Honorable. Honorable Mutaka.
We are not talking yet. We are not talking yet. After the match, we will talk.
Yes, so. But the minority earlier in the day walked out of the chamber complaining of some security breaches during the by-election.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, you saw the gunshots, you saw the misbehavior. I mean, you saw the party guys that are now being called national security, which are now national insecurity. So all this, obviously, we have nothing against the lady. Except to say that you yourself will realize that the by-election and the way it was organized was not a very good one. It's a very bad one.
So the minority in Parliament earlier staged a walkout over the swearing-in of the MP-elect for Yawasu West Wagon constituency. The by-election in the constituency saw masked men attacking some NDC supporters, resulting in some of them being hospitalized. Let's see excerpts of what happened in Parliament early today. Before this, I'm going to go back to Evelyn Tingma, who is monitoring that walk by the minority to the police headquarters.
Get Honorable Sam George to make a statement to the CID and obviously to also talk to the IGP that, look, this is a serious matter and he's the IGP. He's supposed to be the protector of everyone in this country. Our democracy cannot suffer this way. 5 days down the line, not a single person has been arrested. Yet you are just coming to swear in the person. So we thought that we will not allow this to be business as usual. So we are just going there peacefully. No noise, no qualms. We are not going to fight. We are not going to throw anything. As you see, we are not holding anything. We are not holding placards. We are not doing anything. Just going to let the IG know that within the 5 days, it's a long period, with all the videos that are there, to say that not a single person has been arrested yet.
Thank you very much. And we have been speaking to the deputy or the minority chief whip, Mutaka Mohammed Mubarak, and you heard him. So we are currently at the Assemblies of God area just a little bit close to the police headquarters. And they actually started the walk from the Parliament of Ghana, and we are currently here. And that is the situation here. So the members are walking to the police headquarters to lodge their complaints. And so we will make sure that we bring our viewers up to speed the development on this matter. Evelyn Tinkma, TV3 News.
All right, so we'll update you on latest developments with regards to the minority walk to the police headquarters. And as I mentioned early on, the minority had staged a walkout over the swearing-in of the MP-elect for Ayawaso West Wagon constituency. The by-election in the constituency saw masked men attacking some NDC supporters, resulting in some of them being hospitalized. Let's see excerpts of what happened early on in Parliament.
Because of the security challenges that we had at the Ayawaso West Wagon by-election, unfortunately, and in commemoration to support our comrades and citizens that were unnecessarily hurt and brutally assaulted, I'm sorry to say that with your indulgence, our side of the house cannot be here to witness this swearing.
Yes, Honorable Deputy Leader. Candidate Lydia Saira Malasa of the New Patriotic Party was declared the winner after the collation of results from all the 137 polling stations in the constituency. Therefore, Lydia Saira Malasa was duly declared as the Member of Parliament-elect for the Ayawaso West Wagon constituency. Please attach a copy of the results for your attention and necessary action. May I now invite the Honourable Member-elect to be conducted into the chamber for administration of the oaths. Yes, Honourable Chimpwe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, with a very heavy heart, I would want to say that because of the security challenges that we had at the Ayawaso,
would not be perturbed by the absence of the other side. Business will continue as usual, Mr. Speaker, because all the constitutional requirements has been satisfied by this House and by the Electoral Commission. And Mr. Speaker, I believe that if we should hold these proceedings for today, we are setting a bad precedent. It means that any time a situation of this happens, we will have members have a justification and a precedent to refer to walk out of this House. Mr. Speaker, Honourable Seriam, to be Honourable Seriam Al-Hassan, on the 31st of January, stood for elections in Ayawaso West Wagon. And we have communication from the Electoral Commission that she's been declared the winner of that election. Mr. Speaker, respectfully, we would continue with business of the House, and with your permission, I would gladly urge that the oath be duly administered.
I would administer the oath as I'm enjoined by the Constitution of Ghana, and I'll proceed. We will proceed with the oath of allegiance. I
Lydia Seriam Al-Hassan,
do in the name of Almighty God swear.
do in the name
Congratulations on your membership of the House.
Meanwhile, a security analyst has asked Parliament's Defense and Interior Committee to get the Minister of State in charge of national security to appear before it for the behavior of masked men who brutalized people during the Yawasu West Wuogon by-election. Dr. Kwesi Enin argues the National Security Minister seemed to have little or no control over the supposed officers. Hence, he should not have ordered the masked security personnel to carry out any security-related operation.
Dr. Enin said Parliament's Defense and Interior Committee must haul him before them and let him demonstrate when they were recruited, how many of them were trained, and who they report to. He argues the men represent a parallel organization, increasingly dangerous, uncontrolled and uncontrollable. He cited examples in Liberia, Guinea, Sierra Leone, La Côte d'Ivoire, and said armed rebellion started that way. His comments follows the violence that ensued when masked men who are alleged to have fired gunshots and even slapped Ningo Pram MP Samuel George. The men, dressed in black polo shirts and khaki trousers, stormed the La Baoleshi Primary School polling station when voting was ongoing to elect a new MP following the death of Chairman Tinge Jako. According to the security analyst, there is a need to differentiate between professional national security operatives and ad hoc operatives who are emanating from the vigilante groups. What happened last Thursday is a precursor to what is going to happen in 2020, he said.
Meanwhile, Parliament will meet the national security couples over the recent violent attacks that erupted in the Yawasu by-elections. The Vice Chairman of the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament, Collins Owusu-Amankwa, on 3FM's morning show Sunrise, indicated the said meeting will take place any day this week.
Pressure is mounting on the Minister of State in charge of national security, Brian Achampong, to answer for the brutalities in the Yawasu West Wuogon by-elections. Hooded men dressed in brown khaki and black top stormed election centers, a situation which disrupted voting temporarily. Speaking on phone, Vice Chair of the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament, Collins Owusu-Amankwa, said Parliament has invited officers of the national security to come before it.
We've already programmed to engage national security outfits. Listen, I will not state to you, as it were, disclose it to you, but what I'm saying is that as leadership, we decided to engage them this week. And today is Tuesday. Parliament will be in session today. So possibly Wednesday, Thursday, it's likely that we're going to have it.
Meanwhile, a security analyst, Richard Kumado, said political parties are forming standby armies per their actions.
Now, the NDC is saying that they are going to train a ballot box protection unit. I don't know whether they have intelligence to indicate to the point that in 2012, they are going to be ballot box snapshots like we've done over the years. And we don't know who the guys they are going to use, but you have been hearing about the Hawks and you are hearing about the other ones. Now, these guys want to fight, so they will create the environment for them to fight. And that is what's going to happen. There's going to be bloodshed. We have to be truthful about it.
There'll be bloodshed?
Yeah, we are creating an anarchy in this country. And you don't know where they'll be coming from and how sophisticated they'll be. And one is going to be pound for pound and a revenge. You never know. And it's a street fight. That is where my fear is. We should stop them now.
He also said the national security structure in its present form is complicated.
To set up a national commission of inquiry and drag the two parties there to sign a memorandum of understanding that they are not going to plug this country into mayhem. But the forces they have. You read.
All right, if you just joined us, this is Midday Live here on TV3. We're also streaming live on Facebook. We're going to return to our earlier story. I told you about the minority boycott of proceedings today. They're marching to the Ghana Police Service headquarters. My colleague Evelyn Tingma has the very latest from there. Let's take you right there to the Ghana Police Service headquarters.
Yeah, in Accra. Yeah, so we are live from the police headquarters here in Accra, where the minority members have just arrived, and so the deputy minority, the chief whip Mustafa Mohamed Mubarak has just appointed some people to go and talk to the authorities in charge before the process will start. And now some few members have gone in there, and the rest of the team are waiting here for them to come out from the briefing that the police will be giving them. After that, they will see the way forward. So the members of parliament, the minority members, are currently here, and the chief whip himself is here. He didn't go in. He's also here, and just that a few of them have gone into the police building to talk to whoever is in charge before they will be admitted to then talk to the IGP, because now we are told that Samuel George will be writing a statement, and then we will also have the team talk to the IGP about the incident that happened during the by-election. So now those who have been asked to go in were the ranking member of the Defense and Interior Committee, James Agalga, Sam George himself, and then some other MPs who have gone in there. And so that is the development here, and we will make sure that we'll bring viewers up to speed as to what is happening here. So currently, that is the situation here. They are outside here waiting for them.
All right, so we'll go back to Evelyn when the recent development. We will go back to her. She's reporting live from the Ghana Police headquarters. In a related development, the Ghana Bar Association has described as disturbing the use of masked security men in the Yawaso by-election. The association wants the violence which marred the polls investigated and the perpetrators brought to book.
Heavily armed national security operatives shot and wounded several members of the opposition National Democratic Congress at the private residence of the NDC's candidate about an hour into the by-election on Thursday, January 31, 2019. This, the Ghana Bar Association said, is a setback on Ghana's democracy. The association views the use of firearms and acts of violence in a constituency where a by-election was being held as a serious blight on Ghana's democratic credentials and a threat to the rule of law. The bar said it finds it alarming and shameful that people should sustain gunshot wounds and others, including a member of Ghana's legislative arm of government, by persons, some of whom were masked. The association said it condemns in no certain terms the action of the perpetrators and called on law enforcement agencies to ensure that the culprits are duly charged and prosecuted.
Still on the fallout from Thursday's by-election in the Yawaso West Wuogon constituency, panelists on New Day, that's TV3's morning show, have shared views on political party thuggery, while the National Democratic Congress member of Parliament for Tamale North argues that there is a need to stop the act which he claims has reached alarming levels. The NPP representative suggested that both the NDC and the NPP must find a way to stop vigilantism.
MP for Tamale North says the situation where political party thugs now have access to state's facilities show a dangerous trend.
That specific problem that we are shying away has led to another low in the history of political violence. And that low is the fact that in the Yawaso West Wuogon issue, we are not talking about a vigilante group. We are actually talking about thugs having access to security vehicles and maybe weapons of the state to intimidate citizens. That is a new law.
The chief executive of Maslog, who represented the NPP, suggested the two parties must come together to stop vigilantism.
So NPP, NDC, leadership, activists, party leaders, and other stakeholders within these organizations should come together. We should come together, have a common document that will ensure that these are the ways we want to go. And if any of our guys initiate such antisocial behavior or aberrant behavior, this person will be dealt with by the law. It doesn't matter whether you are in government or in opposition.
Away from the Ayawaso by-elections and related matters, let's now delve into another issue which has dominated headline discussions over the last 9 years. And today is exactly 9 years when the Right to Information Bill was laid in Parliament. The bill would enable the operationalization of the constitutional right to information held by the public and some private institutions. But what has been the bill's journey on the floor of the legislature?
The Right to Information Bill was laid in Parliament 9 years ago today. The bill was to foster a culture of transparency and accountability in public affairs and to provide for related matters. But the bill's journey in Parliament has been tortuous. The RTI bill was first drafted in 1999, reviewed in 2003, 2005 and 2007, but was only presented to Parliament in 2010. The RTI was brought back to the 6th Parliament but could not be passed till the expiration of that Parliament on January 6, 2016. Government after government have promised to pass the RTI bill, but this has not been successful. Before the 6th meeting of Parliament closed in 2016, there were attempts at passing the bill, but this also failed. Upon coming into office of the MPP government in 2016, several top government officials, including the president, at the country's National Independence Day celebration, promised to get a bill passed. The Speaker of Parliament, Professor Michael Quay, has also promised that the House will steer the process. So far, considerable work has been done with the media coalition pushing for the bill to be passed. Though Parliament has made some amendments to the bill, it is unsure when the bill will be passed. Some suggested amendment has generated debate, particularly the call to delay implementation of the bill when passed into law for 12 months. A media coalition has been championing the need to get the bill passed.
All right, so we're going to stay a while longer on this subject. It's one of our big stories for the day. Remember, you can join us with the views, comments and suggestions on this story and any other story that tickles your fancy. Visiting our social media pages on Facebook and on Twitter. We're also streaming live on Facebook. Now, let me just quickly take you through a number of countries that have successfully passed the Right to Information Bill. And of course, in Africa, for instance, we've got 24 countries that have successfully passed the Right to Information Bill. We have South Africa, Angola, Zimbabwe, Uganda, Nigeria, Ethiopia, Rwanda, Liberia, as well as Guinea. Now, just quickly to in the Middle East, for instance, we've got 3 countries, Jordan, Yemen, and Israel, who have successfully also passed the Right to Information Bill. In the Asia Pacific region, we've got 16 countries. That includes Bangladesh, India, Thailand, Taiwan, Indonesia, New Zealand, and these are all countries that have successfully passed the Right to Information Bill. Meanwhile, 15 countries in the Americas and 6 in the Caribbean have also had access to the law. All right, so we're going to do a discussion on this right now. Elvis Darko leads the coalition on the Right to Information Bill. He joins me in studio. Mr. Darko, thank you very much for your time and good to have you. I know you've championed this, the cause for the Right to Information Bill to be passed into law. It's been 9 years. What do you make of it?
Well, we have always insisted that it is long overdue. But finally, Parliament has done the needful, and as we speak, they've done all the 92 clauses, the amendments, and we have reviewed amendments, and we have some few issues, and we have written to Parliament. They've asked that we present a paper to them on the issues we have raised, and we believe that once we clear that hurdle, then the bill is full to go.
Do you see sustained efforts by successive governments in having this bill passed into law?
Well, looking at the number of years, I would say no, because... You
mean governments have not been committed to
I'm not really committed to passing this bill, because...
But often in opposition, they do give us the assurance that when they come into
power... But when they are in power, then you see that the commitment level is not as high as when they are in opposition.
And what is the challenge with that?
Well, the bill, one thing I've seen about the bill, there's this misconception about the bill which people
are afraid of that. This is a weapon that is to be given to the media to go and attack politicians. So this misconception about the bill has created some problem, and therefore a lot of politicians seems to be uneasy about getting this bill passed into law. And therefore, every now and then, they try to raise one issue or the other with the bill. But I think that last year, we've done quite a good job by explaining to people that the bill is not about only politicians. The bill is about entire Ghana, and it's not for the media alone. Every citizen can use the bill. If you think that you need information from a public institution, the bill spells out the modalities, what you should do. And the bill also tells the public official what they should do to supply you the information. So we managed to educate the Ghanaian public, and I think even some members of Parliament and politicians got to understand that, oh, this bill goes beyond the perception that is to attack politicians. And I think that has been something that is going down. And if after it's passed, we think that that is where we need to do a lot of work for people to understand what benefits are when we talk about an RTI regime.
And quite frankly, does the coalition see this bill being passed into law by the end of this year?
Oh, definitely. Where we are, in fact, this morning we are just from Parliament to go and talk to the leader of the committee that is working on the bill about issues that we have with the amendment that have been done so far. And the way he received us, he gave us the assurance they are willing to pass the bill. In fact, today they would have considered the bill, but he told us the leadership of the House have traveled. They are not there, so they can't work on the bill. So he actually asked that we quickly work on our concerns and present it to him. He will circulate to the members of the committee so that by the time the leadership is back in Parliament to consider the bill, they will have considered the issues we have raised with the bill, and they can factor them into the
Elvis Darko, and I need to say a big thank you to you. Thanks very much for joining us in studio. Elvis Darko is leader of the Coalition for the Right to Information bill, and you're still watching Midday Live here on TV3 and on our MTN video report today. Our citizen journalist Xavier Ajay reports on an uncompleted girls' dormitory at Avatime in the Volta region.
This is a dormitory block being constructed for Avatime Senior High School since 2007. About 10 to 13 years now, this dormitory has still stand still, and I've never seen completion. This is a girls' dormitory which can accommodate so many students. This led to the use of classroom blocks for dormitories. Reporting for TV3, citizen journalist Ajay Xavier, Avatime, Vane, Volta region.
Well, and just like our citizen journalist Xavier, you can also send your video report via our WhatsApp number on 055-1433-044. That's 055-1433-044. You're still watching Midday Live here on TV3. We'll take a short break. Still ahead, we've got international news, we've got business and sports. All right, you're still watching Midday Live here on TV3. Let's do some breaking news story before we get on to business. And there's been a statement from former National Security Minister under the Jerry Rawlings regime, Mr. Kofi Totobi-Kwachi, who's written a piece on security concerns to President Akufo-Addo. In fact, it's a letter he's written to the president. I'm just going to read excerpts of that letter. In a three-page letter written, he intimated that the scenes witnessed during the by-election at Ayawaso West Wuogon constituency were utterly disgraceful and well-deserving of the condemnation of all true patriots of this nation. More importantly, those events were but another expression of pervasive lawlessness, impunity, and disregard for due process that our democracy certainly cannot survive if left unchecked. He goes on to say that nothing less than the very stability of this nation is at stake. For the next step from this point takes us over the edge and into the abyss. They were ominous portents of the coming election in 2020 and of the inevitability of bloodshed if we persist in this course. But silence in such a moment as this amounts to moral cowardice, and I owe it to my God, to my family, and to my country to speak out against what is manifestly and unequivocally wrong. I urge you to act with haste to commission a public investigation into the circumstances surrounding the events at Ayawaso West Wuogon, that justice may have its day. This must be an investigation of true substance, one that will be palpably credible. Otherwise, I fear our national memory of your legacy will be of a moral negligence that allowed us to go over the edge. So those were excerpts of a statement by former National Security Minister Mr. Totobi Kwache. Right, you're still watching Midday Live here on TV3. We've got the very latest and business news coming up shortly.
The business news segment is brought to you by MTN, Universal Merchant Bank.
All right, you're welcome to the business news segment on Midday Live. Now, the head of economics division at the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, ISA, Professor Peter Quartey, has described the government's decision to support a private arrangement to invest in 5 banks as a timely intervention that will help protect jobs and retain indigenous ownership in the sector. He says the arrangement will help inject efficiency into the banks.
The Ghana Amalgamated Trust, a special purpose vehicle, was established in December to pool resources from private investors, including pension funds, and invest in 5 well-governed but undercapitalized banks. Of the 23 banks currently in operation, 9 banks, representing 39%, are Ghanaian-owned. While some stakeholders have spoken against the support for the beneficiaries of the fund, Head of Economics at the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, ISA, Professor Peter Quartey, said it is important that such banks are not allowed to collapse.
Central Bank has streamlined its monitoring mechanisms, supervision mechanisms. So I believe this same structure should be used so that there is regular reporting. It could be monthly, it could be quarterly, to ensure that they remain profitable and they give value for money.
Earlier, some labor unions raised concerns about government's failure to consult them before considering the usage of pension funds for the Ghana Amalgamated Trust. But Professor Peter Quartey says labor must engage further.
I think the labor unions should take it easy because you ask yourself, what if that option, using GAT to support the banks, that option was not used? What happens if these banks should go down? I mean, the repercussions on employment, on people's livelihood will be much higher than not supporting them. So I think we should government should dialogue with them, and they should know that these are money that are going to be invested in banks that are run very well, banks that have good corporate governance structures, and they will yield the needed returns.
Government is expected to issue a $403 million bond this month to support solvent and well-governed indigenous banks under the Ghana Amalgamated Trust.
In other news, researchers at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology are exploring the potential of the cocoa pod husk as a renewable source of energy. The research outcome is to help provide electricity to cocoa farmers in communities without electricity.
Cocoa husk, one of the residues produced after removing the cocoa bean from the fruit, is usually left on the farm to rot. But it has been identified and proven to contain adequate energy density. Cocoa pod husks can be converted into fuel briquettes. The Bio-Rural Energy Schemes for Ghana project seems to turn the cocoa pod husks into renewable energy to provide electricity to rural communities. Principal project investigator Dr. Eunice Ashireko Ejei says a prototype plant will be built at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology campus to demonstrate the viability of the project.
We want to, first of all, pilot 5 kilowatts at KNUST here do the necessary experiment and measurements and get some form of data that would be very useful in the rollout. So the objective of this project is to roll it out to the cocoa farming communities in the region who are not part of the rural electrification project.
Dr. Achirekun Ejay explained there are other renewable energy opportunities within the rural areas to be incorporated into the research. The project is a joint venture between the University of Nottingham, the Brew Hammond Energy Centre at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, the Centre for Energy Environment and Sustainable Development, and the Cocoa Health and Extension Division of Cocoa Board. It is sponsored by the Global Challenges Research Fund in UK.
In other news, the Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Emmanuel Kofi-Nti, says the authority will deploy personnel of the Nation Builders Corps, that's NAPCO, to help in the collection of rent tax. The GRA has 10,000 of the NAPCO staff.
Rent tax has been contributing its share to our revenue, but it's an area that we are focusing on strongly, and the NAPCO people are going to be used to help us in that area a lot. NAPCO, we only recently began the work of NAPCO. We have distributed them to the offices, and they are going to help with the taxpayer identification, especially, and also for commercial activities which are taking place within our various districts. So through the NAPCO, we intend to reach every potential taxpayer, at least for 2019. Okay.
So that's for business. For business news stories, you can go on to the World Web and 3news.com. Next is the very latest in sports news with Yao Ofosulabi. Now, in 2015, actress Yvonne Nelson led a vigil dubbed Doomsday Must End to put pressure on the then government to find a lasting solution to the energy crisis. 2 years into President Akufo-Addo's government, has Yvonne Nelson, a voice for the voiceless, found any cause worth championing? She's been speaking to my colleague Owusu Warai.
2015, you led the Doomsday Must End vigil, which had a lot of people showing support, thousands of Ghanaians. You had some celebrities also passing through to be with you. And in the long run, the issue was resolved, and a lot of people gave you thumbs up. 2 years into this government, are there any issues that you have noticed that maybe you hope to champion?
You know, as a Ghanaian, as a public figure, someone who has the voice, I believe that, you know, I did the right thing. I was suffering in my house, and I said to myself, I'm not going to buy fuel, you know, anymore. It was just too much because I was spending 70 Ghana every night to power my gen. And I realized, oh wow, this is something that Ghanaians are not really happy about. I am happy that I was that voice to Ghanaians.
2 years into President Akufo-Addo's government, is everything okay? Are there no issues to champion, to put your weight behind?
I remember I tweeted, was it last year, that times were hard, you know, because times were kind of, you know, sometimes you go out, you buy something, you realize, hey, that pena mututu price nimo.
Yvonne believes the president has only spent 2 years in government and wants Ghanaians to be a little patient with him.
I believe he still has time, you know, we just have to give him time. We don't have to rush him. There's only time. We need patience.
The issues concerning autism. Last to get out.
Yeah.
At West on where they have their election, and people have the reason, of course, that everything is well.
Okay, I'm not cutting you, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I've been following the story. So there's little that I can say about that.
I'm asking because falling you were a public guy and speaking.
I said
yes.
Answered it.
A lot of people
I'm not following. Yeah, the police, take action, control.
Where Ghana's youngest jockey of TV talented 2017, Eric Tando, known as DJ Switch, has been celebrated by Jay-Z's American entertainment company Rock Nation as part of their Black History Month celebration. All right, so that's how we conclude Midday Live here on TV3. It came to you live from our studios here at Desawe in Kanda. We also stream live on Facebook. For more stories, you can log on to our website, www.3news.com. Thanks for watching.